In this segment, I'm going to talk about the Edit Shape Node tool, and that's found here on the left-hand toolbar. Now, what I'm going to do is just continue on from the previous segment, which was about using the selection tool. And so I'll go ahead and just simply select one of these shapes, and we'll zoom in on it. And now what I want to do is show that if I change from the, so remember with the selection tool, I've got the rotation handles and the resizing handles and the stretch and the squish and the slant. If I change now to edit shape nodes, I no longer have those types of handles. The object's still selected. What you can see, and I'll need to zoom in more closely, is you can actually see the points that were used to create this shape. Now, if I click on one of those points, those nodes, you'll see a couple of things that happen. First of all, it became selected, and I could click and drag to move the point. See, I can click and drag to put it anywhere I want to. The point also has arrows, and these arrows are what's used to create its curve. And so just as an example, with this point selected, I could grab on the arrow to the left to control the shape of the curve, and I can make it shorter or longer, and as I do, I'm changing the appearance of the shape. And same thing with the one on the right, I can change that to be right, longer, or shorter as well. So every node is going to have that same concept, that you can move the node. I can also delete the node if I want to. And when I select a node, then I have the ability to move it or change its shape in the design. Now, one thing I'll show as an example, if I select a node and then right click, you get a secondary menu, and you have options like to add the node, to delete the node, or to convert the node from a curve to a line. So for example, if I say to line, it takes away the arrow that was prior to that, gives it, I guess, more of a sharp corner straight in between those two nodes. If I right click on the node and choose to add a node, it puts a new node in the middle, which I could then move and or reshape. So that's node edits, and that's specifically to do with, this was one of the, I guess, borders that came with one of the monograms, but why don't I just simply create some lettering here just for a moment. I'm going to choose my edit text tool, click to place my text down, and just type in my name, Trevor. And we'll just choose a fancy font since I've already used Arial a couple of times, balloon drop shadow, and if I wanted to make it bigger, I could make it be, something like that. Now, I finished creating and sort of laying out my text. Now I'm going to click on rectangle selection just to place it in place and, I guess, complete making it. And so you can see here that with the rectangle selection, I can stretch it, or I could rotate it, I could move its location. So that's the type of editing we do with the transform. But now if I choose on this lettering object, edit shape nodes, what I get is a handle for each letter. And so you can use this handle to move the location of the letters, to be, I guess they don't have to stay on the baseline, they can be anywhere they want. Or if I hold down my control key, it actually helps me, it's hard to see that. When I hold down my control key, I get little radius rays, and I can specifically place this around 25-degree increments. And as an alternate, holding the Alt key down gives me very specifically snap to the different lines. So it makes it easy to keep something along the same baseline. If you hold your Alt key down, then you can make sure that things stay, I guess, along the guidelines of your grid of your design. So that's the difference between the transform tool, which gives me the ability to sort of deal with the whole word and size and rotation, but if I go to edit shape nodes, then I get a handle for each letter, and I could then move that handle around to change the location of that letter within my design. So you can do something funky like this and place the letters up and down, or maybe you just want to adjust your spacing of your letters that little bit. So yeah, so that's the Edit Shape Node tool, and as you can see here, when you're dealing with embroidery objects like the borders, you can actually change the shape nodes, and when you're dealing with a lettering object, you get to deal with the letters as handles, so the nodes become the handles. And similarly, when I showed in a previous segment, when you have an object selected and then right-click over it, you have the ability to break it apart. And breaking apart lettering makes them become individual embroidery objects, which now that I've broken this apart, I could select just the letter R. Not only that, it's not even the whole letter R. See, the little center of the letter R became its own little object that I could then transform as well. And when I zoom really closely over that little object, if I choose Edit Shape Nodes, now I have the actual shape nodes that were used to create that letter, and I could therefore change their specific size and shape by moving the nodes. So yeah, that's the difference between Edit Shape Node and Transform. And that's the different ways that you can use the Edit Shape Node tool to modify the points that create your embroidery objects.